this. Imagine growing up deep inside street life, knowing all its complexities, its dangers, and then, well, turning that very personal knowledge into a way to help others navigate the justice system.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating journey we're diving into today.
It is.
Huh.
We're looking at the story of Douglas James Forte, who's known widely as the gang expert.
Right, and our source here is an excerpt from a podcast he was featured on, so we get quite a direct look into his experiences and how he developed this unique perspective.
Exactly. And the mission, really, is to try and understand that shift. How does someone go from, the streets to becoming a respected, qualified expert, consulted by lawyers, by the courts?
And it's also about challenging those really powerful labels, isn't it? Helping people find a different way forward.
Definitely. So as you listen along, think about what really strikes you about a story like this one.
Well, one thing that's immediately compelling about Douglas James Forte is how he blends that formal academic background with serious street level experience. The source mentions he got a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, in criminal justice and urban affairs. So he became a criminologist, a court-qualified expert witness. That's official.
But, and this is key, that formal education sits right alongside his own lived reality. He's from East Palo Alto, grew up there.
A place with its own share of challenges, for sure.
Yeah.
And he says himself he was running the streets when he was young, involved in selling drugs, hustling. He knew that world inside out.
Absolutely. He wasn't some outsider looking in. He was in it. But then there was this major turning point. The source talks about him feeling a kind of higher calling.
A higher calling to just completely break away from that life.
Yeah, total break. And that decision led him straight towards education, right? It wasn't just leaving something behind.
No, it was actively chasing something new.
Yeah.
Through learning.
Exactly. And getting that degree, it wasn't just, a piece of paper for him. He put it to work immediately, started organizing community events.
Focus specifically on giving young people alternatives. Right. Alternatives to getting caught up in street violence, using both his education and his background to connect.
Now, here's where it gets really personal and seems to be the spark for what he does now. The source mentions a specific run-in with a police officer.
Ah, yes, where the officer mislabeled him, called him a gang member.
And that hit him hard. It showed him just how easily a label, whether it's accurate or just based on where you're from or what you look like, can stick.
And how damaging it can be, especially inside the legal system. Huge consequences.
Right. So instead of just getting frustrated by it, that experience, that mislabeling seems to be the direct catalyst.
We're launching the Gang Expert Service. Makes sense.
Precisely. He took that personal hit and turned it into his professional mission. His service specifically works with defendants and their lawyers.
To fight back against those gang enhancement penalties in California?
Yeah. And maybe we should explain those a bit for listeners maybe not familiar.
Good idea. How serious are those enhancements?
Oh, they're incredibly serious. When a prosecutor adds a gang enhancement to a charge, it can massively increase the prison sentence. We're talking potentially adding decades.
Decades. Just for that enhancement. Wow.
Yeah, decades onto whatever the base sentence might be. So Douglas Forte's service helps the defense attorneys make the case against applying those severe penalties.
So he's directly tackling how these labels, these classifications within the system, can lead to really disproportionate outcomes. It goes way beyond his own experience.
He really does. It highlights the real-world weight of these classifications and his unique position, combining that street knowledge with the academic credentials, lets him see things, argue things that maybe someone purely from academia might miss.
Or couldn't articulate quite the same way in court, perhaps.
Exactly. But it's not just the courtroom stuff. The source also mentions he's still doing community work.
Right, he is working with people coming out of incarceration.
Yeah.
Helping them transition back.
Which is crucial. He teaches soft skills, things you need to reintegrate, and importantly, he uses his own network to connect them with jobs.
Real practical help. Tangible support.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture, what does it all tell us? We followed Douglas James Forte's journey, right? From East Palo Alto, deep in street life, to this huge turnaround through education, that degree in criminal justice and urban affairs.
And then channeling all of that, especially that experience of being wrongly labeled by police, into creating the gang expert.
Yeah, using that negative experience as fuel, specifically targeting those, frankly, brutal gang enhancement laws in California that can pile decades onto sentences. He helps lawyers and defendants push back.
And on top of that demanding work, he's still committed to the community side, helping formerly incarcerated folks get back on their feet with skills and job connections.
It's really a powerful story. It shows you the layers, the complexities within the justice system, and just how much impact labels can have.
And it absolutely showcases how someone can take their own past, even the really difficult parts, and forge it into valuable expertise. Expertise used to help others stuck in similar situations.
Which brings up a really interesting question, I think. For you listening, consider this. In systems like criminal justice, where we often value academic qualifications, institutional knowledge above all else,
Right, the degrees, the official training.
how much weight should deeply rooted lived experience carry? Is it just another perspective, or is it a truly essential form of expertise, maybe one that official systems often overlook?
Yeah, how valuable is that lived experience compared to, or maybe alongside, the book knowledge? Definitely something to think about after hearing this deep dive.